Canadian Aquatic Auctions is your place for that aquatic enthusiast in your family this holiday season. With Christmas fast approaching, now is the time to look for that great gift for that special someone who lives the aquatic lifestyle. With years of experience, owner-operator Nelson Fletcher can help you achieve your aquatic needs and goals and help you find that special gift for that aquatic enthusiast you love. You can also converse with other aquatic hobbyists and enthusiasts by logging on to www.aquariumauctions.ca and joining the TAC room, where you can ask any questions. Visit Canadian Aquatic Auctions today at their website at www.aquariumauctions.ca or their Facebook page at facebook.com/Canadian Aquatic Sales. Together we can build lasting relationships based on listening and servicing your needs in a professional environment. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year from Canadian Aquatic Auctions.
My name's James. For 6 years, I was a garbage can druggie. I would do any kind of drug I would get my hands on. But here at Teen Challenge, I've walked away from that drug lifestyle for good.
If you know an adult or teenager who is struggling with a chemical addiction, Teen Challenge is there to help. Please, don't wait. Call us today at 417-862-6969 or reach us on the web at teenchallengeusa.com.
Christmas is not far away. Come catch Santa on his sleigh. Time is precious, seize the day at Ski's Watch and Clock. Ski's been in business for 20 years. He knows his stuff, so have no fears. He knows about all those tiny gears inside every clock. When you come to Ski's Watch and Clock, his variety is huge. From wristwatches, pocket watches, stopwatches, desk clocks, mantel clocks, grandfather clocks, new and previously owned reconditioned pieces. Right now, with Christmas so close, we will only accept light repairs till after Christmas. The elves are busy enough as it is filling Santa's sleigh. Don't let the Grinch stop you from filling the stockings or putting things under the tree this year. If you're worried about getting someone a gift, you can put items on layaway with just a small deposit. Thanks to Ski, you can send that stupid Grinch to his bedroom with no dinner or TV and no computer or PlayStation. By now you must be wondering where Ski's Watch and Clock is. It's located in beautiful downtown Winter Haven at 106 West Central Avenue, Florida, just across from the main post office. Call 863-294-5630. Again, that number is 863-294-5630.
This is our time. We play without limits. We create without rules. We are not for sale. We connect with the whole world. Every idea we've shaped, every relationship we've cultivated belongs to us. We demand the freedom to be our uncensored selves. And when something challenges that, we change it. Together. This is our time.
One, two, three.
Let's start a revolution. Let's MeWe. Join the revolution at MeWe.com.
Memories can last a lifetime, especially when it comes to the holidays, especially when it involves taking pictures. If you live in Southern Oregon or Northern California, there's one place you can count on to make those memories last longer than the holidays. That place is Grateful Heart Photography. Abigail Summers can help you with making your Thanksgiving, Hanukkah, Christmas, or whatever holiday you celebrate the best ever by taking single shots, family portraits, couple portraits, pet photos, and more. She can also capture the finest winter scenery you can imagine. Those photos are available all across the country and around the world at a price that will not empty your wallet for last-minute Christmas shopping. Don't wait until the last minute to get your pictures done for the holidays. Call Abigail Summers at Grateful Heart Photography at 541-951-2443 or message her at her Facebook page by searching Grateful Heart Photography. Much of her work can be found there. Happy Thanksgiving, Merry Christmas, and Happy New Year from all your friends at Grateful Heart Photography.
If you're looking for action-packed classic fun, look no further.
Carter, there's a machine gun. Look out, Daddy!
Up in the sky, look! It's a bird! It's a plane! It's Superman!
For the best in old-time radio adventures, you've come to the right place. This is one nostalgic weekend.
Saturdays and Sundays, midnight Eastern, 9 p.m. Pacific on Action VR Network.
Where do you see yourself 10 years from now? Are you looking for a great education that's also in a great location? Check out College of the Siskiyous. We offer a variety of career and technical education programs, general education, and personal enrichment classes. With our new Reg 365 process, you can register for any semester, any time of the year. With on-campus housing, an active campus life, competitive athletics, and expert guidance from our highly trained staff, College of the Siskiyous is waiting for you. Call us today.
Since it's Colts Texans next Thursday. Shoot, I got to record that. Jennifer, love her.
Okay, quiet on the set.
Okay.
All right, I'm waiting to do this, and I'm doing this now here, and I'm not going to keep things going to hear entire songs. This is a serious point here. This is Take Time for Sports. This isn't the NFL rap, even though you do see that on the marquee. I was using that to make the point to what we're going to talk about. It's entitled Myles Garrett and More. And Mike, you're here with me with this, and we're only going to be about 30 minutes doing this, and we've already wasted about almost 8 minutes of time here, so you really only got about 22 minutes. Mike, what kind of crazy, and I'm using the initials, I'm not going to use the words, what kind of crazy BS is going on with not just Cleveland fans, but the Cleveland personnel and players, period, with what they're trying to say, after what they did, which showed no justification to it, with Myles Garrett.
Exactly. And I sat and I thought about this for like overnight, because I first saw the news of what happened. I was at work, and then I got to break. I think it was like, before I went back in to put toppings on pizzas. But then I go in and I look at the ESPN alert, and it showed that that a fight broke out. And I looked at the video, and I was like in stunned silence. I was shocked to see what happened, and I had to watch it over and over and over again, including last night and including this morning when I had to drop Abby off at the bus station. And I got to tell you, every time I looked at that, I said something has got to happen. I would not be surprised if a ruling came down on Sunday. Because you're entering week 11, and you have the big rivalry game here, Steelers-Browns. And what I saw, you're right, had no justification. And I got to tell you, Myles Garrett did the stupidest thing that you could ever imagine. I know I'm going to piss off a lot of Cleveland Browns fans, but I'm sorry, but you have to look at it for what it is. The Cleveland Browns now have a reputation that they don't want. they don't want to be known as a rough them up, kick them in the teeth, who cares league or team. You got Baker Mayfield who, except for last night, usually writes checks with his mouth that his body can't cash. And I think it's that kind of an attitude that has been instilled. And a lot of people are saying that the Browns are undisciplined, that Freddie Kitchens is not giving them discipline. Well, unfortunately, it happened last night. They were winning the game 21-7. They were sending a message that they weren't going to be pushovers and everything. And they started to do things the right way. They started to, and they did everything right. Well, that all changed with 8 seconds left to go on a play. On a play, all you had to do was just, bat the ball down or, catch it for interception or whatever, or just do something. But anybody that said Mason Rudolph started it, and this is what some are saying, and they're saying they're trying to justify it with video, although the evidence was inconclusive. And I think I just saw this helmet-to-helmet shot that you and I were talking about before the matchup here. But what I'm going to tell you here, anybody that's trying to justify Mason Rudolph starting this whole thing and going helmet-to-helmet, as a matter of fact, I just saw Myles Garrett knock down Mason Rudolph and kind of go helmet-to-helmet, so he was doing that all night. But to say that Mason Rudolph started it by hitting Myles Garrett in the junk, there's no definitive evidence of that happening. But what Garrett did by ripping Rudolph's helmet off and then proceeding to hit him on the top of the head with it and then get the crap beat out of him by I think it was Pouncey, which Pouncey got 3 games, but to him it was worth it because he sent a message. He says, "We're not." It's like you're not gonna pick on our quarterback, And I mean, you got guys that are doing this, but what Garrett did was inexcusable. Does not justify anything. You cannot justify what he did. What he did was malicious. And before people say, and I'm one of those that probably would have said it, I said, well, if that were on the street, he'd probably wind up in jail for assault. In a sense, it is assault. But the news came down swift and quick. The NFL was not pussyfooting around. They pretty much suspended Myles Garrett indefinitely without pay, at the minimum, the rest of the season and the playoffs, should the Browns make the playoffs. And Pound for the Steelers got 3 games. And somebody else, another guy who shoved Rudolph down after he got hit in the head, I forgot his name. I apologize for that. He got 1 game. Rudolph actually got fined for his role in the fight, but now word came down on Fox Sports Radio that he is considering taking legal action against Myles Garrett. And both teams have been fined $250,000 for conduct detrimental to the league.
I will admit to this. Both teams being fined is correct, but keep going.
Yeah. But to sum up what I have to say about what Myles Garrett did, yeah, he felt remorseful. But was he forced to say it? Was he coerced into saying it? Honestly, I don't buy it because from what they've said, because what people have said, he's been doing it all season long, is that he's been fined for conduct detrimental to not only the team but also to the league. I'm sure he had been warned about it several times, and I think this was the last straw. Taking Mason Rudolph's helmet off, and Mason Rudolph's not a big guy, but he's a tough guy. Taking his helmet off and hitting him with it in the head was the last straw. And they sent a clear message to all the rest of the teams, all the rest of the players in the NFL, and I guarantee you the NFLPA is going to raise a big stink over it. They're obviously going to protect Rudolph, but they're also going to want to protect Garrett and say that, that penalty against him is way too harsh. And we were talking about this, and I know I'm surprised nobody's even said this. I guarantee you there's going to be like some civil rights goofball that's going to try and cry racism. It has nothing to do with race. The guy took the helmet and clocked Rudolph on the head with it. And you're going to justify that? You're going to say it's okay to do that? I don't think so. The NFL, and normally, I would say the NFL has done some dumb things. Roger Goodell has done some dumb things. This one they got right. I don't care what anybody says. You could just take your little cry, whiny attitude on social media and just shove it. He did the right thing. The NFL did the right thing by making this call on the indefinite suspension, and Rudolph's going to lose a lot of money because of this. And if you're going to try and whine about it, don't waste your time.
Let me just say this here. Both teams getting fined like they did was right. Mason Rudolph losing any money over this is wrong because Mason Rudolph did the right thing. Simple as that.
Mason Rudolph is not going to lose any money. Myles Garrett's going to lose money because of this indefinite suspension. Myles Garrett, if I said Mason Rudolph, I apologize. Myles Garrett is the one that's going to lose money because of this. But Rudolph, considering legal action, I think that is correct because I think that, in other circles, and I think that the NFL should consider this. I mean, if you rip a guy's helmet off and you throw it somewhere else, that's one thing. You might get maybe 1, maybe 2 games and a substantial fine. But if you use it as a weapon, that would be considered assault with a deadly weapon in legal terms.
It really could be. I mean, it really could be, and that's where I look at this thing. He wasn't anywhere near that fight when it happened. Yeah, they're coming in to defend him. Nowhere near it, but all of a sudden, Rudolph gets attacked, and they get upset that he kicked him in the nuts? Trying to get him off of him? He had every right. At that point, it's self-defense for him. And self-defense is a legal law of the land. Almost anywhere. I mean, of course they're going to try and say that, and then say, well, this is what happened, and you're doing this, we're just going to call it racism. Well, call it racism all you want. It has nothing to do with right and wrong. And in this case, you had a wrong. A wrong that was done that should not have been done. And that's the point in all this. That people need to understand. That most people are missing. You do not defend what is not defendable. And that's where you got to look at this thing. You got to be able to use common sense.
And I'm going to say this. At the end of the game, I saw Freddie Kitchens and Mike Tomlin, the coaches, come together and talk it out. They talked it out like gentlemen, like professionals. And I didn't see either coach. As I hear the phone ringing. But as I said, I have not heard either coach, fire off in their press conferences. I give them credit.
Yeah, something needs to be done there. I mean, we could go really into this. I mean, we're talking... Some people are going to say we're talking about Mason Rudolph here, and everyone, including myself, has been very critical about Mason Rudolph. Who hasn't been, really? I've, in some cases, defended him, but I also have to admit that I have not seen as much of a step up, in the play of Mason Rudolph at the same time, too. So I don't want to get to the point to where I'm coddling him, or people to think that I am. But I will say that with what happened here, Mason Rudolph should not have been treated like he was. And for the Browns, this was a chance with the way Baker Mayfield played and stayed focused, which I said earlier on when we were making our predictions for this week. Baker Mayfield needs to be more focused on the game and not so much immature. That's exactly what we saw out of him. That we saw out of him. And this was a chance to break the image that was put on the Browns since they returned. But I also got to say too that when this happened and Myles Garrett especially did this, it was just it was just craziness. And yeah, they're saying Mason Rudolph will be fined. Mason Rudolph does not deserve to be fined for that, and he needs to fight. He needs to fight them. He needs to go up against them. He needs the NFLPA to stand up for him, and they need to take this battle to court because it's self-defense. If you fine him for the sake of self-defense, then Mason Rudolph has every right to sue the NFL. Goodell, get out of your $20 million a year seat and step up. Because this is not supposed to happen. He defended himself, he was right, and before the NFLPA stands up for him, you need to stand up for him.
I would agree. And I don't see the NFLPA justifying Garrett's actions. They're probably going to say, well, the suspension was way too far. No, it's not. The what is it? The punishment justifies the crime, is what they say. The punishment justifies the crime. Mason Rudolph, fine, they're going to fight it. Yeah, for sure, they're going to fight it.
Mason Rudolph has every reason to fight. Myles Garrett doesn't. Myles Garrett, and if they try to use racism for this one, then they're as good as gone. They are as good as gone. Let me say that again so people understand it. They are as good as gone. Should they decide they're going to try and defend this. Because I'm going to tell you right now, racism will not have anything to do with this. There's not going to be a black victimist fight here. And if you want to sit there and say you're saying that because you're white, I could go right now and get two people from the network here that will agree that this has nothing to do with the black man being a victim, and it'll be said by two black men. I could get Sean Stewart, and I could get, and of course I could get the mayor easily on to sit there and say that.
And if you think that the Browns have trouble there, they waived Antonio Callaway because he lost his appeal of the 10-game suspension for violating the league's substance abuse policy. Things are just going from bad to worse for the Cleveland Browns, even though they're winning. And the sad part about it is, Myles Garrett just put another black eye on the team.
He really did, because this is. Let me tell you, they're coming down on Freddie Kitchens in a big way. I mean, the Browns. If you want to see the Browns get past their immaturities, Freddie Kitchens is not as much a fault here. Would you need a stronger coach than Freddie Kitchens that knows how to handle players? Yes. But and this is eventually going to start happening around the NFL that coaches are going to start having their hand more in situations where it involves the team and who plays and who doesn't and who even gets picked in drafts and who doesn't. The GM is going to be someone who's going to look at the small pictures and suggest things too. And the end result is, yes, the GM will make the pick. But here's going to be the big thing. That front office, if the ownership of the Browns needs to see the dysfunction, if he's not dysfunctional himself, but needs to see the dysfunction and just clean up the front office. Because you see the talent that they got on that team. the talent you got on that team, and including Baker Mayfield. Mayfield probably will never be a top 5 quarterback. He'll probably just barely make top 10s each year. But this is a team that should be contending in AFC championships. It's about getting order on that, in that franchise itself, and discipline in that franchise. I'll tell you right now, if that can't happen, and the owner even tries to defend this, then maybe ownership change needs to happen, and the NFL needs to force it.
Absolutely, because I think it's the Lerner family that still owns this Browns franchise. That's totally different from the original. And I got to tell you, Paul Brown would be embarrassed with what he sees right here, because Paul Brown, when he was the coach of the Browns and then later, I guess, owner of the Bengals, that's a guy that knew discipline. Browns teams of the past, including the Hall of Famer who was there at the game last night, the one and only Jim Brown, would be embarrassed with what they saw out of this Browns. As a matter of fact, Brown players of the past would be embarrassed. This is probably, I'm not going to say, I think that this is probably the worst thing that's happened to Cleveland since Bottlegate. If you remember back some years ago when they started bringing replay back, and it was during the playoff game during the holidays between Jacksonville and Cleveland, at the stadium.
Yeah, I remember. And
because they had huge confusion over replay about, a play was run before the replay was called, and then players ran off the field because fans were throwing bottles onto the field. Surprised that didn't happen last night, but still, 8 seconds left to go. And Freddie Kitchens was going to just say, let's just call the game. No. Under the NFL rules, you have to complete the game. And it was back then when Paul Tagliabue even had to tell the referees, you're going to finish the game. The referees were getting pelted with bottles and crap and everything by fans, and because of their horrible officiating. I don't think they went after the Jaguars at all, the players there, but they went after the officials. They were throwing stuff on the field, and the officials say that's the end of the game, and the game wasn't completed. Paul Tagliabue told those officials to get their butts back out onto the field and finish the game. And Freddie Kitchens almost did the same thing last night with 5 seconds left. Said, and it was 4th down. They had to turn the ball over to the Steelers, and they wanted to finish the game. Thankfully, a repeat of Bottlegate did not happen. They had security all over the field to make sure that the fans didn't go on the field, which the fans did not go on the field, and I give them credit for that. But the plain and simple fact is that whole Bottlegate thing years ago against Jacksonville was a mess. This is an even bigger mess. And this is a bigger mess that not only the Browns organization, but the NFL will have to seriously look at. I applaud them for making the decision. There are some people that are not going to agree with me, but I don't really care. The NFL made the right decision here in suspending Myles Garrett indefinitely.
Yeah, Myles Garrett deserves a long-term suspension for this. Pouncey deserves the suspension. Pouncey's getting is fair. Is fair because he should have just simply been pulling him off of him, not picking a fight and hitting him and constantly hitting like he did. So that suspension's fair. I mean, what I'm going to say here,
but in all fairness, he was defending his teammate, especially Mason Rudolph. I'm sorry. He was defending his quarterback. I know that he might have gone a little too far with the punching and kicking and all that stuff, but if you're a teammate, I agree with what he did. If he wants to serve the 3-game suspension, he won't appeal it. That's fine. No big deal.
And that's fair. You're going to get into a fight, but you also got no one to stop, and unfortunately, that's something else that could be looked at as starting a riot too. But no, it's fair. It was fair. I mean, I'm going to say it. So I'm not going to just sit there, and just say that this is, that we need to look at it one way, not the other. What we saw was fair. I'm not going to say it any other way. But, at this point, we need to rethink it. We need to rethink what had happened in all this and say, if the things did not happen with Myles Garrett, would all this be going on? Because he didn't go out, he was not the, because Mason Rudolph was not the aggressor in this one. He was not the aggressor at all. He was pulling him off. He was defending himself. Self-defense, again. Self-defense is legal, and there's nothing more than proves it than seeing a video of it, which was the cameras that were rolling on network TV for this. That's the only thing you need to look at. He did nothing wrong, and he does not deserve to be fined for this one. I think it should. I think the NFLPA needs to fight for him on this one. I think he needs to fight for this one. Goodell needs to stand up and say, look, he didn't do anything wrong. If he's pushing him off of him, if he's kneeing him in the nuts, it's to try to get this man off of him who had no right putting his hands on him in the first place, which was Myles Garrett. He gets fined. That's fine. If Myles Garrett's going to insist on saying, well, he started this, and wants to try to defend himself, good. Defamation of character. Mason Rudolph can sue Myles Garrett. But the NFL is going to be looking at a lawsuit. If I was told I was going to be fined and I did exactly what Mason Rudolph did, I'd be telling my coach and my bosses, we're not going to the playoffs anyway. I'm going to stop playing here, and I'm going to sue the NFL for this. I don't know how you feel about this one, Mike, but I would sue the NFL over this.
It could happen. I don't know if it's going to get. I don't know if it's going to go that far, but if it does, you can bet your bottom dollar that the NFLPA is going to be involved in it in a big way.
Oh yeah, and Freddie Kitchens. They want to fire him anyway. Again, but Freddie Kitchens, if this was just going to simply be a win for the for the Browns and nothing else happened, people would have been looking at the Browns differently. Just for that. All this does like what we see happen in boxing all the time. When you think something good's going to come out of boxing, bam, something happens to bring the black eye back. And that's exactly what happened with this Browns team. All in all, the end result, do I think Mason Rudolph should be fined or suspended or have any discipline happen to him for what happened out there? The answer from me is no. He's not a great quarterback. He played a lousy game, but he did nothing wrong. Mike?
I totally agree. He didn't do anything wrong, and this thing is going to play itself out. And I know we're going to be talking a lot more about this coming up on Tuesday on NFL Wrap, because that's obviously going to be the first game that we're going to be talking about, and that's the biggest thing that we're going to be talking about. So anyway, it's going to be insane, but we'll see what happens.
All right, with that being said, we're going to end it right here. I'm not going to end with any fancy music or anything. This has been a special edition of Take Time for Sports. Myles Garrett, you deserve a long-term suspension and a hefty fine. Whatever you have coming to you for what you did. That's all I'm going to say. The Dominican Sue is not this bad. And believe me, he's bad. You are worse. Thanks for listening.